much for being here. We're very excited to be on the main stage today, actually, back on the main stage because it's the second time Jenny does this seminar with Bebe Foodie. So excited to be talking this time about specifically about how to make mealtime a breeze and the main milestones of solid food introduction. So before we get started, I wanted to give a little overview of what Bebe Foodie is. So I don't know if you all heard about Bebe Foodie. Hi everyone in the chat. I don't know if you heard about Bebe Foodie, or maybe you went into our lives earlier today or yesterday. But Bebe Foodie is really for you if you are starting out with your baby, meaning you're getting ready to start solitude, and you've had so many questions. You've been a little overwhelmed about all the kind of information that you see everywhere. So it can be like, from your family, from Instagram, from the doctor, and you don't really know where to start or what to start with. And also because probably it's also changing so fast, right? Like from 1 month to another. You also want to establish healthy habits. You want to make sure that your baby is building a healthy relationship with food. But you also want to be flexible about this. You don't necessarily want to have to cook every day. Maybe you work, maybe you have a big family, maybe you just don't like cooking. Maybe you don't want to feel guilty about not cooking. So that's where really Bebe Foodie comes in place. So we are a platform, an online platform where everything is in one place, so that we basically do all of the search and simplify the process so you don't have to go anywhere else. It's also a safe space, meaning we don't judge, we don't shame, we don't guilt. We have methods for everyone. So wherever it is your approach, so you want to buy food at the store, pre-made baby food, or you want to cook everything from scratch, or you want to do baby-led weaning or puree, we're having an advice for every single angle that you're taking. The goal is really to make your life easier depending on your lifestyle. It's also a curated content, trustworthy from the fact that everything that is shared on Bebe Foodie is backed by experts such as Jenny. So the entire platform is built with the experts looking through it, ensuring that everything that we share is from most recent research and guidelines. And it's also a wide database in the fact that you can search for different recipes and personalize in the fact that it's matching your baby's age and weaning stage. So it's a premium membership that will give you what you can start introducing, when, how, all of the questions that are burning, they will be answered for all of you. You can access it easily from your computer, from your tablet or your phone. It's always at your fingertip. You can create your profile, get recipe ideas, food tracking, personalized everyday tips. The good news here is the platform is very new. We launched it just in October, even if we've been around for a little bit longer. And Jenny has been very instrumental in building this platform. So today she is not only going to share a lot of tips on how to get started, but also in what she provides, the type of information that she provides within the platform. Before getting into all of this, a very brief introduction. So I'm Lucy, I'm the founder of Bebe Foodie. I'm French and American. I have 2 kids that were born here in the US. I love cooking. And even though I love cooking, I also like conveniency. And it was for me a big struggle that I always had to look everywhere for information. And I felt like I spent my time going from one website to another, Instagram, etc. And I just wanted everything to be into one place. So I've worked for the past 2 years in building this platform that just came out. And I'm very, very excited to be sharing more about this with you today. Now I'm going to let Jenny introduce herself and get going with the content.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here today, and welcome back to those who heard us talking yesterday. But I'm Jenny. I'm a pediatric dietitian who's now lucky enough to be an advisor for Bebe Foodie. Lucy and I are both we're super passionate about feeding the youngest population and providing you guys, parents, with the help they need to navigate all that information out there that Lucy was referring to, and help your babies and kids, be fed in a less stressful, safe, and fun way. So I also have my own business called Eat, Play, Thrive Nutrition that started out of this desire to provide parents with research-based, accurate information and to give you guys actionable ways to utilize that information to feed your kids. So today we're going to talk all about starting solids, which I actually just love so much. And we know when it comes to starting solids with your baby, you guys are all probably, there's excitement, there's curiosity, there's impatience, there's maybe a little anxiety mixed in, more with the first child. And I think a lot of us who have been first-time parents have definitely been there, like myself included. Your baby may seem really ready way before 6 months, but it's not so much when you think your baby's ready, more about like when baby thinks it's time. And this kind of gets to what we're going to talk about on this first slide, which is signs of readiness, what you want to pay attention to before you even start on solids. These are very good ways to check that your baby is ready. In particular, if you're doing baby-led weaning. And I would even say if you hit the 6-month mark and you want to do baby-led weaning, you want to make sure that these are really being met. So let's kind of deep dive into what each of these means. So I'll kind of like ask you, like for those of you who have already been commenting that like your baby is ready to start, like ask yourself these questions, okay? Can your baby sit unassisted or sit up with little or no support? So even if your baby isn't sitting 100% on their own, but they can sit with a little bit of support for, a small period of time, like to eat a meal, then that's a pretty good indication that your baby is pretty much ready to go. Next question. Is your baby able to hold their head and neck up? This is obviously critical for eating and swallowing and all the things you need to do, right? As well as being able to turn their head. And this helps with communication with your baby. So if they can nod their head yes for more or shake their head no, this is the early stages of you guys starting to have a really great relationship around eating. And then the next question is, has your baby lost their tongue thrust reflex? So this is a little bit technical, so just bear with me. Babies are born with this reflex that basically helps them to latch to a bottle or a breast nipple where their tongue comes out to help. It also is a defense system against choking. So if you try to put something in their mouth other than a breast or bottle, they're going to push it out with their tongue, which is actually really cool. The other really cool part about this is that reflex starts to go away on its own between 4 to 6 months, which is basically an indicator that your baby's ready to start solids. And you can even test this out. You can put a spoon in your baby's mouth or like on their tongue. And if they push their tongue out like they would to take milk, then they're not quite there yet. But if they close their mouth on the spoon, then you're good to go. Okay, next question. Is your baby bringing toys or other objects to their mouth using what's called a palmar grasp, or are they doing like a raking motion to pick up small objects? This can mean that they're able to hold big pieces of food, and why you do big pieces of food with baby-led weaning, because it's the perfect kind of, way that they can pick that food up and grasp it. It also shows that they are able to pick up a spoon and hold that spoon, start to practice holding a spoon, I should say. And then the last thing is, are they showing interest in food? Are they looking like they're ready to chew? Do they seem like they want to participate in meals? And this may even look like them just staring at you uncomfortably while you eat or trying to grab your food and put it in their mouth. And this is like a totally good sign and easy to recognize, obviously, but it's important to ensure this isn't the only sign they're showing, because you want to have some more of these there too. Okay, so if you're at that point, your baby's showing all these signs of readiness, I just wanted to, put a slide in here about like, are there other things you need to get started before you just jump right in? So some of these things can be really helpful to help you be prepared to start solids. And they can be super helpful, but you don't need them, I should say. So the first thing is a high chair, or at least a comfortable, secure place to feed your baby. And this is really important because you don't want your baby's energy and focus like trying to feel secure and comfortable when they really need to be focused on eating. A bib can also be really useful for parents if you don't want to get their clothes dirty. Like I always like to take a bib like on the go if I'm trying to feed them, but some parents will just strip their kids down at home and feed them naked as a way to not get their clothes dirty. So always an option if the temperature in your house is okay. And then you also want to think about utensils. A spoon, if you're doing purees, is you're going to need one for you, but it's also fun to start letting your baby pick up and hold spoons and utensils to get practice. And on that note, another good thing to have on hand when you're starting is an open cup, because they're also developmentally ready to drink from a cup. So you'll want to start putting that out at meals as well. And then you want to maybe think about and educate yourself on allergen introduction before getting started, because there's a lot to think about as far as like timing and what foods. And we're going to cover more of this in our live session tomorrow. So like definitely come join us. And we also have more on the platform to give you guidance here, but it's just something to have a little bit more pre-thought with, I think. And lastly, just kind of along, more along the lines of safety, you may want to get CPR training to feel more confident. Whether you're doing baby-led weaning or purees, there is likelihood your baby's going to gag and possibility that they may choke. So having that CPR training just helps you to be more prepared and understand what's happening. Okay, so your baby's showing signs of readiness. You have everything you need. You're in the first month of introduction. So these are some things to think about in that first month. First, you're really going to start small. You're going to introduce one fruit or vegetable at a time with a few, 3-4 spoons a day, and then increase that quantity gradually. You may want to start by just offering low fiber fruits and vegetables in the beginning. Beets, carrots, apples, spinach, squash, peaches, banana, avocado. And you don't have to start with these. We just find them to be a little bit easier. And then when baby's ready, after a couple weeks, you can start combining those foods that you've already introduced, also adding spices and adding healthy fats. And just as a reminder that breast milk and formula remains the main source of nutrition. As food, quantity of food goes up, the quantity of milk will decrease, but I don't find that happens for the first couple months. Lucy also has a really good guide that you can download that kind of gives you some guidance around this too. And one more thing on that. You can go ahead. If baby doesn't seem to like the food, you don't want to insist on the food. Just try again in a week. And this is really, really important. We have to introduce foods over and over and over and over again. They're not really showing you that they don't like it. They just aren't quite, it's all a new thing. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And if there's a reaction to a food you give, it could be an allergy or food sensitivity. So just pause what you're doing. Don't give any more. Call your pediatrician. And some common reactions can be a rash or vomiting or diarrhea. Okay, now the foods. I mentioned some foods, but we're just going to talk a little bit more about early foods because we get this question a lot, both Lucy and I. And there isn't really like a rhyme or reason or scientific evidence of what to introduce first. But I'll kind of give you the reasoning behind some of these. So a lot of people will start with the store-bought first baby foods that are iron fortified baby cereals, your rice cereal, oats, barley, mixed grains, because it's easy. It can be combined with milk and it also provides that much needed nutrient iron. So this is a great thing to start with. You just want to pay attention to make sure there's no added sugar. And then another area that a lot of pediatricians we recommend is fruits and vegetables. And vegetables especially are an excellent opportunity to get a really nutrient-dense food kind of into your baby's palate. Introduce them to that like more savory type food first because they're so used to sweet foods with their milk that like they gravitate towards that. But you can kind of kickstart their palate, like I said, and set the stage for healthier eating habits if you introduce vegetables early. That being said, fruits are still a great thing to introduce because they're jam-packed with nutrients as well. So both are great ones to start with early on. And then there's no counterindication to introducing proteins. You just kind of want to be more mindful of digestion and texture. They have to be like very well pureed or soft. So like it can get a little bit hard in the texture category. And with digestion, you just want to start slow with small amounts to make sure that they can tolerate it. But things like pureed lentils, mashed up fish, because it's an allergen, and mashed up liver are really great early choices. And these are the main areas that, we usually recommend starting, but you'll also soon want to think about calcium-rich foods and healthy fats as well. Okay. So these are kind of like the last things to remember or keep in mind: patience, timing, and then the texture, which I've been kind of touching on as you move forward through your starting solids in this first month. So you want to choose the ideal time of day. It seems kind of silly, but like there's a little bit of thought process going into this, okay? Because babies are accustomed to the bottle or mom's milk and may find the introduction of something like completely new and foreign really overwhelming. So therefore, it's essential to ensure that your baby's mood is happy and they're relaxed. Also, make sure that they're not sick when starting solids. And the time of day that you introduce the solids, it's completely up to you, but we recommend 1 to 3 hours after their last milk feed, because that gives some room in their little tiny tummies to like be able to eat and they're not overly hungry. Lucy likes lunchtime as a place to start, and that usually is a happy time of day for babies. But if you're a working parent, dinner time can work well too. It's really whatever works best for you and your schedule and the time your baby is happy and not overly tired. So then we want to start slowly. Keep your expectations a little bit low. Seamless transitions begin gradually with small spoonfuls. You can begin introducing one food a day and slowly work your way up. As your baby grows and their appetite changes, you'll increase the amount as you go. By the 12-month mark, your baby should be eating around 4 small meals a day, accompanied by breast milk or formula, and starting to transition to cow's milk. It's really, really important to remember not to force your baby if they don't want to eat. We're trying to make it enjoyable. We're really focused on this idea of an enjoyable mealtime versus just trying to get them to eat. And lastly, it's important to keep the texture in mind. I've heard so many families over the years like struggle with feeding, and a lot of times it has to do with how we approach texture. And there's caution because of safety hazards if you don't have the right texture, but we also just want to be really cognizant that we're going in a way that is acceptable to a baby advancing through their textures. So when you're starting, you're going to start with really, really thin purees or a soft, like finger shaped size of food if you're doing baby led weaning. And then over the next weeks and months, you can advance through that. Like you're going to go to mashed, and then you're going to go to minced foods, and then you're going to go to chopped foods. You're going to be able to get foods that they can pick up with 2 fingers, but that kind of comes a little bit later. So I know we kind of just touched on baby led weaning, but if you guys have more questions, we'd be happy to answer those after in our Q&A. Now the exciting part. We wanted to give you guys a brief overview of what we offer in the premium membership at Bebe Foodie. And there's a lot of different things within Bebe Foodie, like spotlights on foods and recipes, so many things. But this is kind of the milestones, which we spend a lot of time on. And I think this is where like a lot of questions come up. So this is like a really fun thing to share and give you guys a little preview of. And there's a ton of information in these milestones, and there's some for each month, but we're just giving you guys kind of an overview of the 6 to 9, like a compilation of 6 to 9 months. And I'm going to walk through each of these sections created by myself and our team, including a pediatric allergist who created a really wonderful plan for allergen introduction. So let's start with which food. And under which food, we talk about what types of food to include and what to not include. You'll see avoiding raw meat, sugar, honey down there. But then more details on like types of fruits and veggies, grains, proteins, etc., and like what that looks like, seasonings, fats for each month. Texture and quantity and texture. I find that this is section to be super helpful for parents. Again, this is kind of a compilation of multiple months, but we give very specific volumes for each food group based on age here, as well as guidance if you're doing purees versus baby-led weaning, and how to start weaning that breast milk or formula. So I find this to be super useful. And then allergen introduction. Each month, you'll be given a new allergenic food to introduce. We also give recipes and tips for serving to make this as easy and seamless as possible. But we do go in order of priority developed by our pediatric allergist. And so as you can see in this example, by 6 to 9 months, you will be encouraged to try peanuts, egg, dairy, and tree nuts. And in the platform, we also deep dive into the developmental milestones because they're kind of critical to like feeding. So these are things you're going to be looking for along the way. And every baby is totally different. So these are just general guidelines, but they help you to understand what's typical and when you may want to like ask your pediatrician if you have concerns. So some examples here: sitting upright with little or no support. We mentioned that earlier. Recognizing familiar faces, grasping objects and food, playing peekaboo, crawling, and standing up and holding on to furniture. And then we also provide sample schedules throughout each month. So this is just a typical schedule that we created for month 6. You will probably, your schedule may be different based on wake and sleep times, but roughly like your baby's sleeping a rough amount of the same times and feeding. And it just gives you some suggestions on when to start interjecting those solids, which gets complicated as you're adding more meals and trying to fit everything into this very busy day for your baby. And the last section, your baby each month, is tips and fun facts you'll discover daily on the platform. So again, another example here, we talk about the window of opportunity. So all these things you hear about, like when you're feeding babies and you're going about this journey, we try to touch on those things along the way. So this just gets at like this window of opportunity that starts at 6 months, closes around 9 months. And your baby's being fed purees exclusively. Maybe it's a good time to transition to finger foods. It's a short window of opportunity. So it's just kind of a reminder for you along the way to think about this. And this, again, the window of opportunity is important because it sets the stage for the future. Like remembering your baby is going to lose interest and become more opinionated after 12 months. And so may not be as willing to try new things. So I love everything Lucy has done with creating this because I think it really sets everyone up to be successful. And so instead of coming to see me at 15 and 18 months when your baby doesn't eat anything, you're like, I did everything right because I, followed all these guidelines. That's what we really wanted to create. Sorry, I kind of like went off a little bit, Lucy, but I was like, I'm so excited.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jenny. And here is a very quick overview of what you have on the platform. You enter a few information, and then you can also that will allow to personalize what you see. You select your membership, and then you get access to your platform with the different food you can track. You have recipes, the milestone that we just walked through as well. But because we love Prego Expo and we love being here, we have exclusive Expo deals so that you can try this platform for free. So we're offering a free month. The offer is valid until December 17. So make sure to go to our booth in order to get the link for this. We're also doing a lottery. So you will also find a giveaway in our booth where you can access a little survey, and then you'll be entered into the lottery to win 6 months free of premium membership and a consultation with Jenny. Also, Jenny gives consultation for anyone who wants, and you can book directly with her on our website if you go to consultation. So again, just after this meeting, this seminar, we're going to be live at the booth to answer all of the questions. We saw a lot of the questions in the chat. I don't believe we have time right now to answer them, but we took all of them, and we're going to be answering them directly in our booth. So make sure to all tune in just after. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Jenny. I feel like you always give everything everything seems so much easier whenever you talk. So thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge with us. And thank you, everyone. We'll see you live.
Come to the booth.
Sorry?
I said, come to the booth.
Come to the booth.
Talking.
Exactly. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.